Hello. In this session, we'll be looking at waste management at site. How do you manage? How do you make sure you get less waste? If you have waste, how are you going to settle it down? How are you going to pass it through? And what other mechanisms can you do in a site? So let's talk about waste management. And here we'll be looking at majorly the construction waste. So during construction, there are going to be two types of waste. One is the material waste itself. Second is the waste management. When we talk about material waste, what exactly is a material waste? Now, in terms of simple definition, it is any loss produced by activities that generate direct or indirect costs, but it does not add any value to the product. Now, these are called as surplus materials. That means if you order, let's say 100 blocks, but you use only 70 blocks and you don't know what to do with the rest 30 blocks, that will be the surplus material which will go into waste. However, sometimes these extra surplus materials can be used in a different way as well, where it is used as an art form or an aesthetic addition to the project. The second type of waste that we'll be looking at is the construction waste management, where it is going to be the process of developing and implementing strategies. Now, this requires a lot of skills, lot of observation, and lot of calculation as well. So here, the basic understanding of waste management will be in terms of reducing the generated waste. And how do we do it? It's because of three major approaches. The three approaches are reducing, reusing, and recycling. Reducing means making sure that you don't produce enough waste in the first place. Now, that will be happening if you have your procurement team on point. So, there is going to be something called a lead time, which is the time between the purchase order and the delivery of the material. So, while knowing the lead time, if you order it on the right day, the material will come just before the construction. Now, that is called as JIT or just in time concept. So this JIT concept means you will not have this material in the stores for a long time. But if you don't plan the purchase of materials good enough, sometimes what happens, the materials will come way early, will wait 10 days, 15 days in the store, will deteriorate in quality, and then will be used. Hence, it might be wasted also. Especially things like cement or soil, make sure that it is not too early than your construction, because even a small amount of moisture will kill its setting time. So it is very important that cement bags, GGBS, your admixtures, your sand, all those things are in the right environment. That is why ordering cement, ordering all these basic items will be ordered on date, where you know that the delivery is going to happen right before the construction is going to start, because you don't want the item to be stored for a long amount of time. Now, that is something called as JIT. This comes under the supply chain management or logistics management. So, supply chain management is something that every procurement engineer will be going through, and even site engineers should know that, if I give an order now, how many days it will take, what kind of delivery method, who is going to take care of loading, unloading, when it will be unloaded, where it will be unloaded, what is the condition after it's stored, and how are we going to use it in the further days as well. So that is the first step, which is reducing. The second one is reusing. So in the reusing, we look at what are the systems that offer possible ways to reuse the same waste materials. So once you use it, imagine there are waste materials, so you can use it in a different way. Let's say for a aesthetical perspective, if you want a wasted glass to look like an art piece, you can reuse it. If you have a block which is broken, but you want to use it for some compound works or some kind of landscaping art, you can use it. So all the waste materials should go through a reusing scan, where you can judge what material or what broken or waste material can be used again, either in the same spot or in a different manner itself. A lot of times we'll see half broken bricks as in the landscaping next to the lawn, just to keep a division between the pavement and the garden. Why? Are they ordering specially the half broken bricks? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Correct. So a lot of times half broken bricks can be used for these kind of activities as well, where it adds to the value, but not exactly in the same place as it was supposed to have. Now this is being smart. Now this will judge the smartness of the engineer as well. Now if the engineer or the contractor is going to convince the client saying that, you know what, let's put a glass art here where we put up all the broken glass pieces, we'll shape it and we'll put it. And if you can get them to agree to it, then automatically you've brought all the glass waste of your project into use, because that will not be monetized. You cannot get money for it. Only if it is metal, you can get some money because of the scrap value. The third ways to minimize is the recycling. Now, there are a lot of materials which can go through recycling. Except plastic, I think majority can go through recycling. Metal especially goes through recycling. That is why it is given as a scrap, where it is melted again, belt, and the new steel or iron will be furnished. So that is something that happens in recycling, where materials can be sent to plants where it is recycled and it is used in a different way or in the similar way as well. So that itself has some value. Here, are you going to use it in your project? Not necessarily. It might be used in some other project, but you will be getting a right value to it at least. So in that way, you will be at least saving money or getting some money for the material that you have sent for recycling. Now, this is the waste management pyramid. The first thing that you should do is prevention of waste, making sure that there is no waste. But it's easy to say, but it's not really possible in sight. Hence, prevention is the first step. Once you accept that, you know what, you can't prevent every waste, then you have to go for minimization. So minimization is okay. We can't get it 100% perfect. So at least we'll get 85-90%. So that is 10% window for waste. So that is something that minimization works on. Then whatever is wasted, let's say 10% of the project is waste or 10% of the materials are waste. How do you reuse it? Because if you reuse it properly, that waste of 10% will come down to 7 or 6%. And then we go for recycle. In that 6%, how much money can we make out of it where it is being recycled and used for something else? Then we go for energy recovery, where whatever material we have, if we send it out for some other purpose, whether it's melted or burnt or whatever, some kind of an energy is formed, either heat or kinetic or whatever kind of energy we are talking about. And at last, if nothing works out, it is disposal. A lot of demolition waste get into disposal. A 40-year-old building is demolished, 50-year-old building is demolished. These kind of buildings, normally they end up at disposal after going through the whole pyramid. So this is the way we should be looking at waste management. Prevention is absolute, but we know practically speaking, it's not so easy. Hence, we look at prevention, then minimization, then reuse. Reuse is where you can take a lot of waste into consideration and close the issue of that. Then recycle, small percent, very minuscule percent will go into energy recovery, and then whatever is left will have to go into disposal. Now, in terms of percentage, what material is wasted a lot? Majority is soil and sand. The biggest waste in terms of construction is soil and sand. But good thing is that even if you dispose it, it is okay because it is reusable. If not for this project, for some other project. Correct? So soil and sand, even if it's one third, it is fine. Reason being, it is disposable, biodegradable as well. Next, we get into brick and masonry. This, if it is a sand or soil brick or clay brick, makes sense. But if it is a concrete block, then it's a problem. Because if it's a clay brick, then you can just dispose it and you can demolish the whole block and it will just be soil at the end of the day. But if it is a concrete block or a AAC block, then it's an issue when you dispose it. Next, we get into concrete. This is the biggest problem right now in terms of concrete disposal. Because concrete, the problem is it's non-biodegradable. Hence, you should be able to use it in some other way. So in terms of reuse, concrete has to be used a lot. Then we look at wood and bitumen. Wood, of course, is biodegradable, but and a very sustainable material as well. Hence, wood is something that even if it is wasted, can be used as some other, either in recycled or in reuse. Bitumen, even though if it's small 2%, the problem with bitumen is once it is hardened, it's very tough to reuse it again. Yes, you can pour it into high temperature liquids, melt it again and put it, but it's not going to give you the same quality as right. So this is how the construction material waste is looked at. Now let's understand the plan of waste management. The first thing is you need to identify how each waste will be tackled. Right. So whenever we say each waste, whenever you see a waste, let's say a demolition waste where you have a column. So RCC structure is there, the whole column is demolished. So you have the concrete, you have the reinforcement bars as well. So reinforcement bars will get into scrap. So it's very easy to recycle them. Concrete is where we need to think of, okay, what can be done with the concrete. So identifying that is very important. Second, we need to estimate the type and quantities of the C&D waste. C&D waste is construction and demolition. All right. So type. So what kind of waste do we have and how much quantity do we have? Either in terms of m cube or kilograms or length, or running meters or kgs, whatever it may be. All right. So estimate the type and the quantity of the waste generated. Once that is done, you will have an estimate for the recycling process also. All right. So now we know that, okay, 200 blocks are waste, 10 bags of cement are waste, and around 10 m cube of soil is wasted. Soil, what is the estimate? Then 10 bags of cement, what is the estimate? 100 blocks, what is the estimate? So we'll have the estimate and the rate. So how much money are we losing out of it? So from that, based on the scrap value, we'll also understand how much money we are getting from. So 100 bags of cement, can it be reused or can it be recycled or can it be disposed? That is something that needs to be checked. If there is small builder who is ready to take that kind of a cement, which is waste cement, for some small activity, and is ready to pay half the price for the bag, that itself saves you 50% of the cement cost. Similarly with blocks and similarly with the steel or any other material. Alright, so that is the estimate of savings and expenditure. Then we look at layout plans. So we use layout plans for training, meeting, and other communication related to job site waste management. That means what? So here we have trainings and meetings with labor, engineers, supervisors, everyone to identify where the waste are present. So that is something that we need to inculcate in every engineer. So every engineer should be able to identify, okay, after this activity, this much quantity of this material is getting wasted. So what do I do? Report to the waste management team and they'll take care of it, or quality team and they'll take care of it. All right. The next or the last step in the waste management plan will be to provide troubleshooting and instruction. So when we talk about troubleshooting, that means once you have a project, you know what kind of, or you can assume what kind of waste will be occurred in the next project because of your experience. So that will be something that needs to be provided. Second, a waste management team has to be provided where they can have a contact. So once we have a demolition, we know the waste, we know the quantity of the waste and the cost of the waste. We need to contact the right people to get the right amount back in terms of cost as well as in terms of the waste getting back to disposal. So that is something that will be provided in terms of instruction and contact information. All right. So this is how we can understand the waste management plan and the importance of waste management in profit margins of a company. So if you are a site engineer who wants to get into the money saving part of the firm, which is very important for the employers or your managers, try to look at waste management. A lot of small scale will just give it for scrap. That is the problem. Yes, scrap is good for few materials, but not every material. So if you can reuse it or recycle it, that would save you a lot of money as well. All right, and that is something that is going to be very catchy when you go for your appraisal of a promotions as well. So this is something that every site management or site team should be able to grasp. All right. So hope you learned about waste management. In the next session, we'll be looking at multiple other things in the site management course and a lot of understanding with the engineering part of it. So see you in the next video.